Well, it's finally time to start talking about adding color to your artwork. And so in this movie, I'm going to show you how to work with color fills. And color fills, you've probably seen me do it a couple of times throughout the course already, but they're very easy to start applying to your documents and to your objects. All you have to do is make sure that you're targeting the right attribute when you're applying them, and it should be really, really simple. So let's go ahead and zoom in here on this little elephant illustration, and let's start to add some color fills to the elephant. So the first thing that I want to add a color fill to is the ear right here on the left-hand side. So when we click on that ear, you'll notice that it does get a selection around it, and it has a white fill currently. So let's come over here and let's just pick a color for the elephant. So elephants are usually sort of a grayish color, so let's pick maybe this gray right here, which is about 50% gray. It's just above the normal default purple fill here, so I'll just go ahead and click on that, and that adds the fill for me. Same thing here. I want to make sure that I'm targeting the ear, and I want to make sure that the fill color is active. That's the one thing you have to make sure of, because if you happen to have this active right here, that means the stroke is on top. That means you're going to be adding a stroke color to your object, and that's not what we want to do. We want to make sure we're targeting the fill at all times and that we are applying it by clicking it just like so. Now, we don't have to do this one at a time. We can select multiple objects. So I could select right here, I could select the face, and then let's select, maybe the hair is going to be a little bit of a different color. So we'll just leave that little hair piece all alone there. Let's select the body of the elephant and also the legs of the elephant. And some of the legs actually fall back in here as well as the feet. So we'll select all of those and we'll give them all that neutral gray color. So now our elephant is slowly coming to life. Let's add a little bit of color to the trunk. And then we can give the hair just a little bit of attention here. So let's just make that a little bit darker than what it might normally look like. And let's do the same thing for the eyebrows. Let's make those a little dark. There we go. And we can add some color to the eyes. So let's target the eyes, making sure those are there. And then you can color the eyes whatever color you want. I'm going to give them a nice green color, something kind of like that. And then the end of the trunk right here, maybe that gets a little bit of a kind of a neutral tannish color. Interior of the trunk, make that kind of dark there. And then toenails along the bottom, we'll select all of those. And again, it's just pointing and clicking, making sure that you have everything selected that you want selected. So we'll give those just a little bit of a tint, and the same thing for the bottom of the feet. And let's zoom out here, see exactly what we're working with. Looks pretty good so far. Only thing that I need to really focus on here are the ears. So let's do those. And I believe those are usually kind of a lighter texture, something like that. And the rest of this is just going to be the flowers and then, of course, the butterfly up here at the top. So let's zoom in. And we'll select all the little flower petals. It would be really useful if I had grouped these ahead of time, but that's where the grouping comes in that we talked about earlier. So we're not going to worry about that for now. We're just going to go through and quickly shift-click all of these elements, and we'll change them all at the same time. So we'll select all these little flower petals with the shift-click method. Once we have all of them selected up, we'll apply whatever color you want to them. In this case, I think I'll go with, let's try maybe a purple color. Then we'll grab the center of the flowers, and that will be yellow. Something kind of like that. There's a couple more flowers I missed back here. Here's a cool thing about fills. Once you have the fill out on the canvas, if you're missing it anywhere else, like for instance, I missed this one, you can just select the objects that are missing it, press the letter I on your keyboard. That's going to give you the eyedropper tool and allow you to sample a color from anywhere around there. Now I want to make sure that my toenails on the back of the elephant here match the ones on the front. And then let's pan up here, and we'll start to apply some color up here to this little butterfly. We can just give it some random colors here. So we'll use a little bit of purple, maybe a little yellow, this right here. Let's give that maybe some red, and maybe back to purple, maybe a little bit deeper purple in there. There we go. And then we'll kind of follow that pattern around the other wing. Something kind of like this. And again, this is totally out of your imagination. So you just make up whatever you want. The key here is to make sure you're grasping and understanding how we are applying the color fills to this. And once you have that down pat, you should be good to go. So let's zoom back out. And there is my finished elephant illustration. So you can see we really brought this thing to life just by adding the simple color fills. Now, in addition to the fills that you have by default inside of here, you also have access to several different swatch libraries. That's why I have the swatches panel out here. So the swatches panel contains access to things like art history, celebration, color books, which include Pantones, color properties. So like if I wanted this illustration to be, let's say, bright, open that up, and there's a whole palette of really bright, almost pastel-like colors. I can open this up and we can find different gradients, which we'll talk about in a future movie. You can do things like earth tones, kid stuff, metal, nature, neutral patterns, scientific, skin tones, etc. So there's basically a color library or swatch library for just about anything you can imagine in here. You can also load in custom libraries, which we'll talk about in the color chapter specifically later on. But for now, I just wanted to point out how to point-click apply fills to your artwork and how you can get the most out of that by selecting multiple objects at a time. As you can see, you can create some really cool artwork in not a lot of time.